Nightmare. All right, let's go. Mr. Nightmare did not disappoint last night, so.
When I was 22, I started seeing a guy who I met on a dating app for a while. His name was Hunter. I went on like...
Hey, you know how we be on them dating apps. What can I say? What can I say?
At first, things seemed all right. Our first date was a quick coffee date.
Be careful on the dating apps for real, though.
More of a screening process to make sure he seemed normal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you gotta have that. You gotta feel him out.
Drinks. We both got a nice buzz, and it was a nice time.
Hey,
The third date was dinner.
Just get a
This
look.
was when I started to question things. Questioned if I really clicked with his personality, or if I felt like there was something slightly off about him. The date ended with a kiss still. The first and only time we ever kissed.
Hold on.
Because I let him.
Hold on. There was something weary about him, I think. Something like that. And you still gave him a kiss, man. That's all. Hey, bro, you playing with this man's feelings. That's not okay. Fuck it, bro. Women, bro.
Things went all right. It wasn't until a couple weeks later that we went on our fourth and final date. We went out for drinks once again.
She did go on another date.
However, this time I went into it with a less excited mindset, and I was paying more attention to little quirks in his behavior that I realized were kind of unusual. It's hard to explain exactly what I mean, but some of his mannerisms just gave off antisocial and borderline creepy vibes.
Ooh.
He started to drink way too much on this date as well, and he started getting really touchy-feely at the bar, trying to kiss multiple times. I'm not a fan of PDA, especially not when sitting at a bar with people next to me.
No, I feel that.
I politely turned down his advances, and within a few minutes, I mentioned I was tired, heavily implying we should leave. He asked for the check, paid it, and then we grabbed our coats and left. As we were walking to our cars, he stopped me and very bluntly asked me if we could go home together.
Hey,
I said not tonight.
Keep it a buck. He's keeping it a buck.
Hate this ad? Here's how to block them for good. First, you're gonna click this video, and then you're gonna go download Pi.
Which was a...
Yo, guys, we need to fix the ad problem here. I'm just saying. Like, I need to get YouTube Premium or something because this ad problem is crazy right now.
a lie. He shockingly kept trying, saying he'd drive me to work tomorrow and such. I found it to be absurd whether he was drunk or not. I also wasn't a fan of him drunk driving home. I made the decision at that point that I wouldn't see him.
You take him home.
I went to my car in the parking lot across the street and started driving home slowly, just because I had a couple drinks in my system. I wasn't drunk, but I was still very cautious. I was also overly alert of my surroundings, looking around for cops, which perhaps
you'd be like that, I guess.
The fact that the same car was behind me still after I made at least 3 turns. And
weird,
at a certain
creepy.
stoplight.
Creepy.
Looked like Hunter's car. I texted him, "Are you following me?" He texted back pretty quickly, saying, "Yes, I just want to make sure you get home okay." I called him, but he wouldn't pick up.
That's weird. I mean,
so
like,
quite frankly, creepy.
You gotta let her know that you're gonna follow her before you go.
Me, I'm fine. He stopped in the middle of the street for a second. I presumed to read my texts, and then he drove off past me. He didn't text back, not until I got home and was in bed. He said as follows: "I hope I didn't weird you out tonight. Sorry I got so drunk. Next time we should do something a little more low-key, like dinner at my place or something." I didn't answer.
Don't blame me
The
that.
next morning, followed up with, "Oh no, is the vibe dead?" I still...
Yo, this dude said it's the vibe dead after she did text the whole night. That's never... About bugging. That's never should you say to a girl first off, "Oh no, is the vibe dead?"
Bill decided to wait a bit to respond. Not even 2
This
hours
dude.
later, he sends me a question mark. So I
Oh,
decided to
triple
reply now
text.
before
He
it got
triple
worse.
text.
I said,
Never
"Hey,
triple
I had a
text.
great time getting to know you, but I just think our personalities don't click that much. I also really just want to focus on myself right now. I hope you understand." After this was when the angry texts started coming in. The worst of which being, no, I don't understand. You strung me along for 4 dates to tell me that? How about you pay me back half of everything I bought for you then?
Hey,
Or
hey, hold on.
other
You only want a half back
about
though.
Personal information,
That's weird.
I'm not gonna
That's
include
so
them.
weird.
They were enough to prompt me to block him.
You gotta just accept it, man.
Thought this would be
Stop
the
being
end
a
of it.
weirdo.
Then I started receiving no caller ID phone calls non-stop. I ignored all of them until he finally seemed to get the message and stopped. The next day, when my parents weren't home, I got home from work to find a bouquet of flowers on the stoop along with a card. The card was an apology from Hunter, asking for a second
Hunter
chance.
did not get that
He
second
somehow
chance
knew
on the
where I
guest.
lived.
Oh,
That
she didn't even
disturbed me.
tell him?
In his mind, he somehow must have thought that this would come off as charming or sweet, when in reality it was extremely alarming. I sent
That's
him
so
one
weird.
final
Also,
text
4
to
dates and you don't know
please
where
not
she
contact me
lives is
anymore.
crazy, by the way.
Never come to my house again, or I'd file
But
for
look,
a
he knew.
restraining order.
He knew.
I kept his number blocked so I wouldn't see his response. I thought things would be over now, but I couldn't be more wrong. It was not long after this that I was home alone for the night. My parents' house is big, and I had a loft bedroom, which meant my bedroom was the highest point in the house. I awoke in the middle of the night to something. I wasn't sure what it was at first, but I felt as though I was hearing noises from downstairs. I tried my best to listen closely.
Oh, bro,
And I heard
no.
it was very
Ugh.
obviously a door opening from outside my bedroom. One of the upstairs doors. Nobody was supposed to
Right
be home that
outside
night.
your bedroom, no
Even in
one's
my haze
home.
from freshly waking up, I
I'm
still
tripping.
immediately thought intruder. I
And
crawled
you
out of
just
my
broke
bed
up with a
onto the
dude
floor
who
and
somehow
shimmied
knew
under
where
the
you
bed.
live. Yeah, nah.
Before calling 911,
Nah.
I texted everyone in my family asking who was home. I heard some distant noises from somewhere in the home, one of the other bedrooms. And then my bedroom door opened, and footsteps came up the carpeted stairs. After they reached the top
No.
step, there was silence. The whole room is carpeted, so I couldn't hear any potential footsteps. Then I heard the drawers next to my bed begin opening. I held my mouth with my hands to mask my breathing. I could feel my heart racing. I heard a man's voice say, "God fucking damn it," under his breath.
What?
In that moment, I
Bro,
thought,
dude's weird.
that might have sounded like Hunter's voice. I still didn't move, and I prayed my
Yeah,
phone did
no.
not get any notifications now. I heard more rummaging sounds.
What is he doing?
He was going through my entire dresser. Then I heard. and
What?
felt
This
the
dude
bed
is
skirt sat
so
down.
weird.
I was staring at the outline of 2 shoes through the bed skirt. Even in the dark.
And you're just still laying there?
I
Like,
don't know what he was doing on the
what
bed,
if
but
he could have
sat
done a
there
lot
for
more,
2 or
man?
3 minutes before getting up, and I heard him say under his breath, "Fucking bitch." I heard all the drawers close.
Nah,
and
this
I heard
dude.
footsteps walk back down the stairs, the door shutting, and then sounds of footsteps walking down the stairs to the living room. I called 911 now, and I still whispered into the phone just to be safe. I stayed on the line and stayed under the bed for 10 to 15 minutes until one of the police officers showed up, and I went down to meet them at the front door, and even that was tense. After letting him in, I told him everything he didn't already know from the phone call he responded to. As such, he did a sweep of the house, and during that another officer arrived, this one female, who also assisted in the search. It turned out every window was unlocked, and one of the windows, the dining room one, is big enough for someone to crawl through, though I don't think anyone ever...
Do y'all leave your windows and doors unlocked at night? Like, that's weird. Don't do that, guys. Don't. Especially, like, if you had these signs before of a guy following you, he randomly found out where you live. Like, don't do that. Like, that's, come on.
ever pictured someone squeezing through the bush in front of the window and then crawling through it. I gave a verbal statement of everything. I was given a report number and they left. When my parents returned home the next day, they already knew everything from my texts and phone call with them. We went to
Well, I
the
would
police
hope so. You
station
gotta
and
let
I
your
re-
parents know.
So handsome.
Bro,
Oh,
these ads are gonna make me lose my mind,
Hang on
bro.
report number.
Yo, YouTube, fix the ad problem, please. Please, YouTube. Please.
gave as much information as possible, such as text screenshots, including him admitting he was following me home. They said they'd investigate, though without solid proof it was him inside the house. It was tricky. I think the case lost steam,
but
I really didn't have any
that's
proof
weird.
of anything. I did, however, successfully
They just let it
get a
go.
restraining order against him, and I was advised to never accuse him of having broken in, nor ever contact him again. He thankfully didn't, but from that point till the moment I moved out of my parents' house, I was always uncomfortable he would be creeping around outside.
She
Even
just
today,
left her parents in
sometimes
danger.
feared he might find out where I currently live.
Nah, but he knows where your parents live. That don't bother you at all. Alright, that story really wasn't. It was alright, you know.
This happened. This all started on the week of Halloween, when I would stay after school to help decorate a haunted house for my school's Halloween carnival. I often got to stay and fool around with some of my friends while getting awarded with pizza for helping decorate. Along
Pizza?
with my friends.
Okay.
There was also this other kid who would
Back in
stay
6th grade,
with
that
me.
hit, man. Everything was for
We had
pizza.
gotten
Let's be
along for
real.
the entirety of the time that we would stay after school, and he never once gave me any reason to feel uneasy around him. He was genuinely a funny and cool kid. But anyway, fast forward 2 weeks. I was suddenly approached by a group of girls in my grade who were all excited and had wide grins on their faces. I asked them what was going on, only for them to tell me that I had a secret admirer and that he would be texting me tonight. I'd be lying to
Who?
you if I told you that I wasn't excited.
She was balling, bro.
I was curious
She was
about
balling.
this.
Hold
I
on,
wanted
hold
to
on.
know who.
Bro, let's be real. The secret admirers, like back in like 7th grade and under, back when like you really didn't have the confidence to talk to them in person. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna text them, or I'm gonna tell their friend, and their friend gonna try to set me up with them. Bro, that I remember setting up game plans. You gotta analyze what's gonna work.
Later that night, when I was about to go to sleep, I got a notification from Messenger. It was the only app I had at the time that I always used to communicate with my parents whenever I was home alone. The message was from Chris. I had completely forgotten that I added him on Facebook on Halloween. I opened the message, and it read, "Maya, I need to talk to you." I was concerned and quickly replied, "Yeah, what's going on? Everything okay?"
Who's Chris
To
again?
this day,
That's her friend,
I
right?
wish I hadn't replied.
Or am I bugging?
Typing bubbles appeared and stayed there for a good 2 minutes, which meant that he was still typing. It felt like forever until his message finally came through. I didn't expect what came next. In a long paragraph, he confessed his love for me and how I've been
Okay.
driving him crazy since Halloween.
Oh, driving
He also
crazy is
proceeded
crazy
to
word,
explain how
but
he
yeah.
tried to impress me during recess and phys ed with his soccer skills.
Yeah, hey,
I
hey.
noticed him. He
We
said
all
that he
know
was
that.
growing tired
We all
of
know how
being
that be.
ignored, and it ended with, "I want you to notice me." So I guess what I'm trying to say is, will you be my girlfriend?
Okay.
I cringed at every word. I stared at the message for a while.
No. My brother got turned down. Not just turned down. She cringed at every word. As a dude, I know that pain of getting turned down. The worst they can say is no. But realistically, she just said she
Long
cringed.
time. What the hell? I barely even know this kid. I lived it apart
I
with him
mean,
for a long
you don't
time.
gotta know a guy to like a guy
I was
for
trying
them to
come up
like
with a
you.
way to let him down easily, as I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I told him I didn't like him like that, and that I wanted to just be friends.
Friend zone him,
Right
terrible.
away that he didn't like this answer.
Nobody would.
He kept asking me why, and I had to come up with a reason each time until he eventually stopped answering. The next morning was a nightmare for me. Some of his friends kept coming up to me and telling me that Chris wanted to kiss me, which he told the entire grade he wanted to do, and that he would do it even if it meant cornering me.
What?
Taking this as a threat,
What?
I decided to tell my teacher. She told me to stay inside during recess and lunch, and that if he ever got even close to me, to run right back to the classroom. This
Yo,
wasn't
was there people actually moving like this in 6th
told me
grade?
he would do something right away, and this gave me some relief. I feel I should mention that I lived right across the street from my school, and everyone knew this, including Chris, which leads me to what happened next. Later on in the week, I was walking home from school. I hadn't even been inside my house for more than 2 minutes before I heard someone knocking on my front door.
Oh my god, that had me
Out the
tripping.
window just in time.
Oh my
to
god.
see someone ducking behind a parked car across the street. It had to be Chris. He must have been following me.
Yo.
My mom opened the door to find a piece of paper on the floor, and not surprisingly, it was addressed to me. I read the note out loud, and it said there was a surprise waiting for me under the Cadillac in my driveway, which at the time belonged to my brother. My mom went to check.
Yo, I'm still. Holy. Hold on. That knocking.
That's to me. I read the note out loud, or he must have been following me. My mom opened the door. I peeked out the window, just came home from school. I hadn't even been inside my house for more than 2 minutes before I heard someone knocking on my front door.
Yo, that's so creepy, bro.
I peeked out the window just in time
No.
to see someone ducking behind a parked car across the street.
Those
It
knocking
had to be
sound
Chris. He must
effects,
have been
bro.
following me. My mom opened the door to find a piece of paper on the floor, and not surprisingly, it was addressed to me. I read the note out loud, and it said there was a surprise waiting for me under the Cadillac in my driveway, which at the time...
Yo,
belonged to my brother.
what?
My mom went to check, only to find nothing. But it was after this day, my brother's Cadillac stopped working. I still have no idea what Chris did to the car, but my brother was forced to sell it. Unfortunately,
Yo,
that
he
year
ruined the
wasn't there.
caddy,
I was
bro.
constantly harassed by Chris,
No.
telling me to give him a chance and that he would treat me right. There was even a moment when I caught Chris taking a picture of me walking home, and the only reason I saw him was because I barely heard the sound of an iPhone camera behind me. Who knows how many photos of me he had on his phone? And every morning I woke up to a message from him with something along the lines of, "I can't wait to see you at school.
Yo, this
And
dude.
you'll look beautiful
Yo,
today."
no hate.
The
dude.
harassment and stalking were only getting worse, and it was making me fear for my safety, especially now that he knew where I lived. Finally, I got a call into the counselor's office, and I felt relieved, expecting her to tell me that Chris was going to get in trouble or that the cops would get involved. Anything. Instead, what I heard was worse. The counselor proceeded to tell me that boys will be boys, that they do crazy things when they're in love, and that I shouldn't be mad about this.
What?
He told me I should feel flattered, as this kind of stuff was bound to happen, and that the only thing I could do was to accept it and learn from it. At the time, I didn't see the problem with her words, as I genuinely believed her.
No.
Looking back on it now,
No.
this was an insane and disturbing thing to say to a 6th grader who was being sexually harassed and who was fearing for her safety
Facts.
almost every day.
Facts.
That afternoon, I came home from school telling my mom everything the counselor told me, and she was rightfully furious. I was called to the principal's office again that same week, this time with my mom present.
Oh, Miles was standing there on business.
Counselor and principal, what are you waiting for? For something bad to happen to her before you do something?
Miles standing on
Why it
business.
was taking so long for something to be done.
Let me get you a cold one. Try one of these. That is the best
Yo.
buffalo wing in the county. You eat.
Ma is standing on business. Bro, she ain't gonna let nothing happen to her daughter. That's fire. W moms. W moms.
They both stayed silent. My mom ended it by threatening the counselor and telling her to never speak to me
Facts.
again unless she was present. But unfortunately, I don't think the school ever did punish Chris, which to this day enrages me.
I mean, I feel
He
like
basically got away with everything. It does.
the problem with punishing him there is the only thing he even did on school grounds, I think, was what said he was gonna kiss her even if it's coordinated, and he could just say he didn't say that. You feel me? I don't know.
Didn't even end there.
It's
Late
terrible.
during the week,
Weird
my
kid.
parents
but
had gone shopping.
Of course he's
I was
gonna
about
get
to
away
go to
with
bed
it.
after watching a YouTube video on my iPad when I heard something at my window. Now, I'm on the 2nd floor, so this was especially strange. The only thing that hits my window are birds accidentally flying into it. I sat up listening. Then it happened again. It sounded as if someone had thrown something at the glass. Then it happened again and again. They were consistent thuds, and it was starting to freak me out. I finally got the courage to get up from my bed and see what it was. My heart dropped into my stomach when I opened the curtain and looked down to see Chris holding a handful of rocks, looking up at my window. He somehow had managed to figure out which window was mine. He was about to throw another when he noticed me. I could ever so slightly see that he was saying something, but I didn't stop to see.
I would kind of want to hear what he says for
We were
real.
going to see if
Like if
every
it was
window
me,
and door was
I'm
locked.
I'm figuring that
Thankfully,
thing out.
everything was. When I returned to my room, I received 4 messages from Chris.
Why don't you have him blocked?
Just want to talk.
Why don't you have him
Sorry,
blocked,
all I
bro?
wanted was
I would have
a
had this
kiss.
man blocked.
Please forgive me. You are not who I thought you were. Bye.
Threw it
I
down
blocked him
bad.
after that. Thankfully, I never had another incident, even though I had to see him throughout the entirety of my school year.
I've never seen a 6th grader
Sixth
down
grade
this bad for
senior
real.
year. The last thing I heard about him was that he was arrested. God only knows for what. The saddest and scariest part of my story, though, is the fact that a counselor was comfortable with telling me that this kind of behavior was a compliment and a learning experience for me as a girl. I just hope that woman no longer works with children, and that I never have to see Chris again.
Story 3. I believe it's the last story. I think it's 3. Yup.
I want to stay as anonymous as possible with this. This was a very serious occurrence that I have PTSD about, and unfortunately, it scarred me. I'm changing all towns and names in this story, so there's no way it gets traced back to me. I've been a very reclusive person most of my life. It started at a young age. Even in my early school years, my teachers would tell my parents I had antisocial behavioral problems. I would even be included in some of the, I guess you would say, special 20-minute classes for speech and behavior in elementary school.
So was I. Don't worry. So was I. You're not gonna get made fun over here in the Bake 2K chat. You feel me? You can come chill with us. We accept everyone. Everyone, man. Like, yo, I was in those classes too. Don't even stress it. Don't even stress
I
it.
didn't comprehend why I was being brought there while the rest of my class wasn't. Middle school.
Yeah, I knew it too.
Social hell that
I was
school
just
is
slow,
really started
man.
to set in. Kids started forming their friend groups, and that only carried over into high school and got worse. I never had learning.
No, you can't miss
a.
a. When the friend groups are forming, you can't miss it when you're right before high school, or you could get really left out, man.
Myself an awkward, introverted person. However, I've made my close friends, and I'm grateful for that. But now let's talk about girls. Of course, being a social recluse comes with having trouble with the ladies.
Yep,
Honestly, not to get too graphic, but you know, it means something to my story. I lost my virginity at 21. That's a bit late, I'd say. This was at the age of 23. I moved out of my parents' place already. I had been working a high-paying job in my field for a couple of years at that point already, and I bought a
Nothing wrong
townhouse
with
in my
losing your
hometown.
virginity late.
It was pretty affordable, but a nice and big townhouse. I don't live there anymore, but it was 2 floors. It was the kind of place that would impress girls at 23 if you owned it. So one day swiping on Tinder, I matched a pretty decent looking girl.
Second story
I called her
continued.
Emily. We went on a date at a nearby restaurant for dinner. I was a little in my head, thinking she was judging me or I was acting awkward. And by the end of it, I felt like she'd never want to see me again. But when I was in bed after getting home, she told me she really liked me and had fun. And I was ecstatic, honestly. So we went on a second, third, and fourth date. And honestly, things felt great after I got out of my head. We
Hey,
became boyfriend and
W
girlfriend
man.
fairly quickly. But the honeymoon phase didn't last forever. When you first start seeing someone, you get excited anytime they text or call you. You crave the attention because ideally it's a two-way thing. But
Facts.
slowly, I started feeling as though she was texting me maybe a bit too much. At all times of the day, she'd ask where I was, if I was doing something, or perhaps took my time in responding.
Controlling.
She'd
She's
call me or send
controlling.
question marks to follow up. One day when we were on the couch, she demanded we share our locations with each other. I wasn't thrilled about this, even though I had nothing to hide. I did it anyway. So we're a couple months into
Y'all
the
share your
relationship,
location with your
a location
significant
share,
other?
and this is where things went
It's a good
really
question,
sour.
actually.
She'd start asking me why I was at Phil's house and not answering her texts. It got so bad that one night when I was with Phil and my friend Mark,
Bros before hoes. Always. Always bros before hoes. In the long run. In the important parts of life. Alright? Just
and Phil's
you can't get mad at me
Friday
for hanging
night,
with my boy
I actually
Phil.
showed up to his house, and Phil's mom
Oh,
walked Emily
showed up.
downstairs. She didn't even hide the fact that she was pissed at me, and immediately spoke in a loud voice, almost a yell, reprimanding me for goofing around at Phil's house instead of answering her texts about going to some winery the following day. I asked her if we could discuss this later, but she insisted I leave with her. I apologized to my friends and went outside with her. We had an argument in the street.
We're not leaving
She
together
wanted to
there.
come home
I'm
with
sorry.
me, but I told her no.
Yeah, no.
We both drove separately, obviously.
Oh, I'm not
I drove
leaving
home
then
and told
either.
her not
Hold
to
on.
follow me.
I am not leaving in
When I
that
got
moment.
home, I sent her a long text telling her we need a break and I need space. Should I have done this in person? Yeah, probably. Text message breakups aren't fair most of the time. But honestly, in the moment, I was scared of what her reaction would be in person.
Facts, okay.
The Bush Guide, cold and smooth survival skills. If you encounter one wolf, chances are they're...
These ads are gonna make me lose my mind. Make me lose my mind. Alright, the video's back on.
She started calling me over and over, blowing up my phone with texts. When I eventually stopped answering, I got aggressive pounds at my front door of my townhouse and constant rings from the doorbell. It got so bad that my neighbor actually came out and asked her what she was doing. I heard Emily screaming at him that I'm a piece of shit and this and that, and my neighbor calmly told her to go home. I listened to everything with my ear basically up to the door. She did leave, and honestly, I was kind of disturbed. I'm not saying the crazy just came out of nowhere. There were definitely signs, but I was blind to some of it because of the honeymoon effect.
No, it'd be like that.
Next
You
day,
kind of skip over the
I
red
stopped
flags.
sharing
You
my
always
location
do.
with her, and immediately, as if she were obsessively checking our texts, she angrily blows me up for doing that. I was more and more sure of my decision to cut ties with her every text she sent. My final text to her was, "I'm sorry, Emily, I have to block you for a while. You're scaring me." She surprisingly didn't come knocking or anything. However, I noticed she instantly stopped sharing her location as well. It was exactly 1 week later. I went over to Phil's house again and chilled with the guys. I left around 11 p.m. and got
You
home
get Phil
shortly
baked
after.
up, man.
I wasn't tired and I was hungry, so I threw some food in the microwave and plopped on
I know the homies were happy that they broke
I
up.
was browsing all the streaming apps for something good. I wanted a scary movie. When the microwave beeped and it went silent,
What's your go-to scary movie? That's a great question. What's the go-to scary movie? And you're alone? I mean, it really depends. Throwing it. Ooh. I'm a big Scream fan. I'll put on any Scream.
I suddenly
Any.
heard a click or thud
Not
from the dining room.
4's alright.
So the
4's
layout of
probably
the downstairs of the
the one I
townhouse,
really wouldn't
it
put
looped
on.
around in a circle. It went from the kitchen to dining room to living room to den, and they were all separated by a wall in the middle. However, the den to the dining room had a door, not an opening. I attached this photo to give a better idea. To allow for complete silence, I grabbed the TV remote and muted the TV. And it was then that I surely heard the door separating the den and the dining room clicking open. I peered into the
No.
dining room,
No.
blurted out, "Who's in here?" To, of course, nothing in response. I entered the dining room, my blood running cold as I saw that door was opened. I have a thing for keeping doors in my home shut, and that door was no exception.
As you should.
I went to the kitchen and grabbed the biggest knife from the knife block. I also called 911 right away. I had never called 911 once in my life. This was a first.
Shouldn't
On
have
the
to,
phone, I
man.
spoke really loud so that whoever was in there would hear that I was on the phone with the police. Whether this was a good idea or not, I guess is debatable. I said I think my crazy ex-girlfriend has broken into my house. Please send someone. The rest of that
He
call
knew
was
to
explaining
accuse
what
her.
exactly
He
was
knew
going
to
on,
accuse
why
her.
I thought it was my ex, and her instructing me to wait outside if possible. So I went outside and waited not far from the front door. Surprisingly quickly, a police car rolled up. I once again briefly explained what I thought was going on, and I led the officer into my home. We both performed the most thorough search of the place together, and I'm telling you,
He did it
no one
with
was
him?
in there. We checked the mini crawl space
What?
hidden in the closet. We checked every closet for that matter. We checked under the beds, under the couches, even the mini attic too. When the coast was quite literally clear, he told me to call again if I heard anything, which said to me that he believed me and knew I wasn't making it up or going crazy. My night was obviously disturbed after that. No way I was going to be able to sit in the living room and watch a movie now. I ate my food.
Oh, yeah, not a
sitting in
scary
the
movie.
microwave, went to my room and locked the door. I texted all my friends and family, of course, about how spooked I was. But given that no one was in there, I had to dismiss it as just one of those creepy moments of something in the house moving by itself. I almost texted Emily, but refrained from doing so. I took a melatonin, and from what I remember, I quickly drifted off to sleep surprisingly. However, I'm a light
He's
sleeper.
gonna wake up to
Something
like
caused
her
me to
over
wake
him
up.
on the bed, like
I didn't
staring
know
at
what
him.
it was, but something in the room felt off. I checked my phone, and I had a bunch of texts from a random number. That must have been what woke me up. I quickly realized it was Emily. In short, without reading the paragraph she sent me, she was stating how sorry she was and that she wanted to talk. She was begging me to see her to talk tomorrow in person, and the rest of the texts were her saying, "Are you awake?" and "wake up" over and over. She said "wake up" a total of 8 times over text.
Bro,
Surprisingly, she hadn't
calm
tried
down,
calling me.
bro.
I responded, "Why are you awake right now? This is crazy that you're blowing me up at an hour like this. Honestly, if I wasn't sure before, your actions just these past few days alone have confirmed that I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Please just leave me alone." Seconds after I pressed send, I heard a scream from inside of the closet next to my bed. It was Emily's voice, yelling the word "no," and then the closet door burst open. I didn't have time to think of anything besides jumping out of the bed and getting that bedroom door open and getting out of the room. It wasn't locked anymore, mind you. Once out of the room, I pushed the door shut and held it shut as she tried opening the door. She didn't just try opening it though. She started stabbing the door, and I saw the knife she was wielding piercing through my side. In the moment, I decided to scream, "Baby, I love you, stop," instead of something like, "You're sick."
Oh, he's smart. He's smart.
I said I loved her. She stopped and calmed down, and I took this moment to call 911 again silently while still holding the door shut. At this moment, we spoke through the door to each other while I
Yo, he's so smart.
came up with some bullshit on the spot that I was going through a rough time right now, but that I loved her and was planning on getting back with her. She said in a frantic voice, "That's all I wanted to hear. Why couldn't you just be honest with me?" She asked me to open the door. I had to stall though. I told her I was scared and wanted her to drop the knife. Eventually, she agreed, and I told her to throw it across the room so I could hear it land. She did so. I heard the clang of the knife ricocheting off the wall and onto the floor. So what I did next, I yanked the door open and tackled Emily to the floor.
Yo, hold on.
She screamed and fought.
Bro, this motherfucker hit her with the.
And when hysterical, I didn't care. I held her down as I yelled my address and everything into the phone, which was still connected to 911. I held her down all the way until the police arrived. To my surprise, the police literally kicked the front door down, and it was so loud it could be heard over Emily struggling all the way upstairs. Police entered the room quickly, a surprising amount of police actually. Emily was put in cuffs quickly, and she was hysterically crying. I think the only reason I wasn't crying was because I was in such shock. This was the worst, most scarring night of my life. The nightmare didn't end there, though. There was such a long and serious legal process that followed as far as getting Emily convicted.